Hey, how you doing? Today we are checking out the G chord. I'm hoping that you've already seen the D chord and the C chord and all of the variations found therein. Today we're looking at the G chord, which has got a whole heap of really, really great sounds hidden in it. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks about the way that I play G chord that might not be the way that most people play it, and certainly not the way it's taught most of the time. It's a real fun shape, so let's get to a close-up and check it out. So here's the standard kind of way to play a G chord. Now, I'm going to be really straight up with you. I don't tend to play G like this very often. I don't like the sound of this note with the first finger. It just kind of, it makes it muddy down there. I think that leaving that note off is a nicer sounding G sound than this. Is it off? If I put it on, it's just makes the low end muddy for me, so I very rarely play that. I would nearly always play G like this with just two fingers, most commonly with my third and fourth fingers for reasons I'll explain in a second. Okay, so it's just my third finger. The underneath of that finger is muting the fifth string. You probably find it very difficult not to mute it, to be completely honest, right? Then open strings, little finger down the third fret. So when you're looking at the basic variations of the G chord, you've obviously got this regular G, and as I've just explained, I'd often play that without the first finger. You've got the kind of the big four-fingered rock G, where you use third and fourth fingers on the thinnest two strings. Again, if I'm playing that, almost certainly I'm not going to be using my first finger. And then it becomes a G5, like a G power chord, if you're not playing the first finger on that particular grip. You can of course use fingers 2, 3 and 4. Again, I would be nearly always playing that without using my second finger. Okay, you can use it, and there's times like where I almost certainly adding a little hammer on or something like that, of course I'm going to be using that note. But just if I'm generally strumming a G, I don't want that note getting in, making things all muddy in the low end department of the chord. But when we start to look at variations again, using the third and fourth fingers is by far the most interesting. It gives us the most different variations that we can do. We can change second finger down on the second fret of the thinner string. We got G major 7 there. It looks like, I know on the video it looks like my little finger's down. It's not, but just second finger is down. So third finger, muted, open, open, open. Second finger, it's G major 7. Or we could take that off, put the first finger down. We got G7. Okay, really nice, very common movement in a lot of pop songs is G, G major 7, G7, going to C. Okay, so really good. It's like kind of a Beatles trick, I guess. But anyway, either the G major 7 or the G7 will work. Very rarely will either of them work as variations, both at the same time. But you could, of course, just lift off little finger, and you've got a G6 then, okay? So that's just third fret, nothing, open, 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 open. Okay? Obviously, we're not going to be lifting off the low root note, really. That's not going to be very effective, especially if we're using it to mute the fifth string. We're just going to end up in all sorts of kind of trouble if we lift. Yeah, you can kind of get away with it maybe, but I don't recommend that you start by exploring that. So lifting fingers off is a little bit restricted if we've only got two fingers down. We've tried lifting that one off, but there are lots of really nice variations you do by adding fingers in. So leaving a little finger down for a minute, we've got first finger going down in the first fret of the second string. This gives us a G sus4. Okay. Adding the second finger down in the second fret of the third string gives us a lovely G add 9 chord. Okay. Now technically, if you want to play a proper G sus2, you'd have to go back to the big G5 chord and add the first finger down in the second fret of the third string. That's technically now a G sus2, but it's again, I just don't tend to use that one very much because it involves refingering stuff and it's a bit of a pain. So add 9 is a lot nicer variation. I think it sounds a bit sweeter as well. You can also put second finger down on the second fret of the fourth string. Okay, that's making it a G6 again. If you're going to get into a bit of rock and roll or bluesy sort of Now sometimes I'm sliding it up into the 3rd fret of the 4th string. Let's make it a G7 again. Again. Now you can see there how many variations you've got there with this 1st finger doing a little flick off, 2nd finger doing a flick off, 2nd fret, 3rd string to open. It's a really nice one. Okay, so 1st finger, 2nd fret, 1st finger, 1st fret, 2nd string, flick, 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string, flick, then open 4th, hammer down that 2nd finger in the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then play the open G. Another very nice little, that's a whole kind of little movement there, but I'm just trying to encourage you again to explore the shape, and you've got, or any combination of those together. All of that is just a G chord. You could muck around with all of those different things, and it wouldn't necessarily be all of that. Like, you don't want to overdo it and just, you know, add in loads of extra chords that you don't really need, because it'll just clutter the song and make a mess. You probably wouldn't use very many, maybe one. If I was playing a simple tune, you know, I might go, say, probably bordering on too many again already, but just to give you a little example of some of these chords that we've looked at in real life, of just lifting some fingers off, and it just adds a whole lot of interest. With the G chord again, you've got a, because the 3rd finger can stay down, you've got a couple of scale options there. You can play C major scale very easily, and being that the G chord is the 5th chord in the key of C, it's very common that you see the chord progression of a C chord to a G chord and back again. So using the C major scale, G major scale, again, it's available. All of those notes are there if you want to get, if you're exploring kind of chord melody and how that might work together. Well, there's a whole lot of stuff to check out on the G shape. Hey, it's one of my favorites. I often will capo a song deliberately to be able to use a G chord as the kind of the root or the key chord in it, because there's just so many different ways of making those embellishments sound really awesome. Again, you know, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to put it into practice. So go and check out some songs that you know that use the G chord, and try as many of these variations as you can. Practice them over and over again deliberately until they start to become instinctive, and then they'll just happen when you're playing naturally, and that's where, you know, the really good stuff lives. Do remember that there's going to be extra notes over on the website. If you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description to go and check that out. All of the rest of the whole series as well will be over there. Over 1,500 lessons now, all completely for free. So you definitely want to check that out. If you are watching on YouTube, I really appreciate your support by hitting that subscribe button. And also over on the main channel page, you might want to hit the little bell. It'll notify you when I'm doing the live streams, Q&As, transcribing sessions, all sorts of fun stuff that I do live as well. So hopefully I'll see you for plenty more, and there's still a couple of chords left to go in this series. See you for more very soon. Bye-bye.